Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at exactly how the new edition is going to roll out. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so here we go into a new edition, and if you've been around for a few years, you've probably done at least one or a couple of these transitions, and the truth is, every single one is different. So what are we going to get this time? And obviously, the main focus is on Leviathan and the big launch box and everything. But now everybody has the rules. The problem is we're not really sure how the data sheets are going to play out. How long is it going to be before other armies have all of their information? And what are you going to do if you want to start playing the brand new edition? You already have your own models, but you're not going to be playing Space Marines or Tyranids. And a lot of these questions are ones that I have myself. Because even though I do play Space Marines and Tyranids both, they might not necessarily be the ones I'm going to use for a game, etc. So we're going to jump into this article right here, and there's quite a few good answers as to exactly how this rollout is going to take place, how we're going to get the compendium and like our points, and then of course how we're going to get our actual data sheets. So prepare for Warhammer 40,000 Leviathan pre-order this Saturday with free data sheets. And it is important to note too that even though the pre-orders start this Saturday, it's actually a 2-week pre-order period, and then there's a week between the pre-orders ending and then the actual box set coming out. So we're really looking at about 3 weeks, the 24th of June. Warhammer 40,000 Leviathan goes on pre-order this weekend, heralding fantastic new edition of Warhammer 40,000. To whet your appetite that little bit more, you can now download every single Leviathan datasheet right here. This means as soon as you get your box and get everything built, you can start playing straight away. So we see the Space Marine Leviathan datasheets and the Tyranid Leviathan datasheets, and then also the download core rules as well. You can also download the core rules here and watch our how to play video, which covers all the basics before you start rolling dice. And there is actually also a link to the simplified rules. So it's just 4 pages and one of them is a cover page. And the last page is stratagems. So it's basically just 2 pages of like how to go through a turn. Pretty cool if you are a brand new player. And I'll leave the link for that down in the description. The philosophy of the new edition is simplified, not simple. A few things have changed, and this is your chance to make sure that you're up to date with the info before jumping into your first game. These datasheets only scratch the surface, and you can expect to see free downloads for every single faction's index over the next few weeks, with the full Tyranid and Space Marine indexes arriving later this week. So by the end of the week, this week, we will have the full Space Marine and Tyranid indexes. So that will be all of the data sheets. We still won't have the points yet. And then it says over the next few weeks, which is probably the time in between now and when the actual box set comes out, we'll slowly get like drip fed different factions rules as well. We'll also have a new Munitorum field manual with all the points for the new edition coming soon. So keep an eye out. And once again, this is going to be a free resource. The Munitorum field manual, just like when we have seen in the past, last couple times for 9th edition, they have basically just put up an article and there it is. You've got your Munitorum field manual, a compendium of all the points in one place for the new edition. And then later on, as they decide they need to rebalance things, they can either change the points or if they need to, change data sheets accordingly. One nice thing is this will all be digital. So it's all going to be free, and then down the road, they might come out with the codexes and stuff like that. You can pick them up, and they'll have all that stuff in one place. They also have said for sure that they're going to be selling the faction data cards as well, which I think is a great improvement. So if we just click on the Space Marine one, it's going to take us to this document. There's 16 pages, and essentially what we see is each one of these has 2 sides. So we see the actual captain and his like stats right here, and this is what you're going to use during the game. And then on what amounts to the back of this, or in this case, you know, it's just 2 separate pieces. This is going to be all the stuff that you're doing before the game starts. So you're going to be determining what his weapons are, etc. Or in some cases, like a squad, you might determine how many members of the squad are going to be in there, figuring out the points, all that good stuff. So obviously it's very cool and it is free. And we know that Games Workshop is going to be like actually printing these out and selling them, similar to what they do for Age of Sigmar. And this is something I've been calling for years. I think it's great because instead of carrying your entire codex or a bunch of documents with you to your games and having all these books, you literally just have these data sheets. So for instance, if you have 1 Terminator captain and 3 squads of intercessors, you would just have your 1 Terminator captain data sheet and then your 3 intercessors. No flipping through the book, trying to get to the right page, no looking for special rules on different pages, any of that. The game is meant to be played with very little resources in front of you. Now you will still obviously need to know the rules and all that stuff, but I do really like these changes for the game, as it's just going to speed it up a ton. Every time you can avoid having to pick up your book, thumb through to a specific page, read a rule, and then go about the game, it slows it down substantially. And if you have to do that 10 or 20 times throughout the game, you're doubling the length of the game. So with quick reference stuff like this, you immediately can flip over to your captain data sheet, see exactly what his weapons do, how does he hit in combat, how many wounds does he have, etc. You can keep track on the model on the table. You can also keep track on the actual card itself by placing a dice where his wounds are at, etc. I just love everything about it. I think it's really, really good. And if we scroll down through here, this is just for Leviathan. So the remainder of those Space Marine data sheets will be out shortly as well. You could go ahead and print these off if you wanted to. I initially thought that Games Workshop was going to provide these for the Leviathan set in the box, the same way they're going to be selling them later, but it doesn't look like that is the case. So it looks like these are all going to be provided just like this for every faction, and then you'll be able to buy the actual faction datasheet pack. It'll probably be something like 25 to 50 bucks, somewhere in that range. I'm not sure, honestly. It may be different for different armies as well. Like say you play something like Votann or World Eaters, where there's just not a lot of selections. Maybe that's not going to be as expensive as something like Space Marines, where you're going to get like 60 data sheets. But that is, once again, just speculation. So very cool. We see how that's laid out, and we see how that is a useful tool that's going to definitely make the game more fun. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch, and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. All right, and then here we have the core rules. Now, in this case, it is 60 pages long. Obviously, there's a little bit of like cover sheet and stuff like that in there, but I was very surprised to see 60 pages of actual rules. So if we scroll down through there, we'll see it's not just like crazy dense rules or anything like that, but you can kind of get an idea as to what to expect. 60 pages is definitely a lot, especially when you can go through and the bullet points basically sum up the entire page with just a couple of those. So we'll take some time to get used to the new rules, and at first it's definitely not going to feel like very simple, especially for new players. For experienced players, though, most of the rules are going to be the same. One of the most difficult things about when you change editions, though, is picking up on stuff and not just kind of filling in the blanks mentally and realizing rules have changed. So I'm sure at some point in time we'll get like kind of those type of videos like, hey, you're probably playing this wrong type stuff. But yes, 60 pages of the new rules. Pretty cool. Definitely free. So it does seem like a lot of stuff so far has been simplified, but it's not like simple to where the game is not going to be fun anymore. And then finally, I just want to pop over here. This is the 4-page simple rules here. So if you are new to the game and you just want to see how does this actually play, it's not going to set you up with like a mission or anything like that. You're not going to be going for like, you know, a full game. It's basically just a quick start guide to just play a little bit of Warhammer and see what this is all about. So it breaks down the actual turn, how it works, command phase, movement phase, shooting phase, charge phase, fight phase, talks about the specific dynamics of each. What do you do? What do you roll? How do you determine who's dying, who's living, who's fighting? Pretty cool. And again, it is broken down. The first page is just a cover page. Page 2 and page 3 are basically rules. And then page 4 is just some core stratagems. So it is very, very simple, but gives you the ability to play some Warhammer with someone new or someone that just isn't experienced in the game. I really like it. I will leave the link in the description for this as well. And the beauty of this is, even if you don't have your Leviathan set yet, if you've never played Warhammer or haven't played for a few editions, you can at least like, you know, throw something on the table, roll a couple dice, and kind of see how the game is meant to be played. See, does it feel smooth? Does it feel fun? Is it something you might be interested in? And I'm looking to be focusing in on some battle reports as well. I really want to do combat patrol battle reports where they match up against each other and we just play like all the different combat patrols on different matchups. So if that is something you might be interested in, let me know down below. I think that's something that would be a great resource for the community, be super fun, and give you an idea how each army looks and plays on the tabletop outside of like the lore or like the larger games that you often see. So I think overall, all these changes are great. Anytime Games Workshop is providing free resources, that is awesome. I love that on top of that, they're doing exactly like I wanted, which is selling them to the people that do want them. So you have the ability to buy the full color, actual like card stock data sheets, or you can just print them off on your computer in black and white or in color. You can laminate them. You can do whatever you want with them. You can spend as little or as much time or money making them nice, but it's a free part of the game that you require to play. And it's great because now you can go into a store, you can buy a combat patrol, and they don't have to buy a codex, they don't have to buy a rule book, they don't have to buy all this extra stuff. It's just you buy the models, you build them however you want, and then you can play right out of the box. So super cool. Definitely loving the new changes. Definitely excited for Leviathan, and honestly cannot wait to see all of the factions' actual data sheets. And then obviously the points are going to be what makes or breaks each and every unit. So it does look like we're going to have a fun new edition of Warhammer 40,000. I am super excited for 10th edition. Let me know what you think down below. Are you excited for 10th edition as well? Is this going to be your first edition? Are you returning after years away? Or are you just rolling right into 10th like most of us? Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check out the link in the description to save 15%. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and the countdown to 10th has begun.